What's up, y'all? You're kicking it with the Junkyard Dog on junkyarddogs.com. My name is Tony. For those of you who don't know, check it out. We back on the Project Mayhem block. So we're gonna be putting on the timing chain cover and the oil pan today. As you can probably see already, I've put in the engine or the cylinder head studs. I wasn't gonna do a whole video about that. It's really simple, straightforward. I just find that it really slows things down to try to get every single microcosm on the motor. So I'll just do more of the major stuff. So what we're gonna do right now is we've prepped the surfaces already by cleaning them all off. So essentially what we're talking about doing is taking the timing cover and installing it. That's it. And the oil pan and installing it. So it's a pretty straightforward process. We're gonna use some of this Permatex high-tech gasket sealant. What I like about this is it keeps the gasket in place while you're trying to finagle everything and kind of work it in, and it stops it from shifting and moving around. This stuff is really good. We cleaned it all off with some brake clean. You can use acetone, and you see this is the high-tech stuff, right? It's got a little brush on the inside. So the way this goes on, it goes like that. So you're gonna take it and then brush it onto the back of the gasket. Now, you don't have to use this stuff, but this is a very professional way of doing things because it literally eliminates leaks. That has been my experience. You have a leak, forget about it with this because it sticks the gasket right in place, even where it might have a spot where it's a little thinner or it might have like some little gap or something. This stuff will really just kind of come in, and I like to put it on the gasket rather than the part itself because sometimes it won't stick to the gasket right. But literally, as soon as it touches the gasket, it turns tacky. It turns into like a glue. Freaking dope. When I figured out, I learned about this from a book that I was reading when I was like, I don't know, like 16. And it's crazy that now I'm sponsored by this company. It's nuts. It's super dope. All right, so now that we got this all covered, we're gonna go ahead and start to kind of place it on. Get it in place here. And like I said earlier, it doesn't matter if it's messy. It really doesn't matter. We're just gonna stick it in place. Bam. So you're gonna take the high-tech sealant once again, and now you're gonna coat this part on the outside here. It's almost like painting. Not quite, but you get the drift. Formula drift. Okay, what's wrong with me today? I don't know, man. I'm just talking. All right. Now, if a little gets on the gear or anything, it's engine safe, so you're good. There you have it. It's covered with the good stuff. So what we're gonna do now is take the timing cover here. It's had a new seal installed. I'll go ahead. There's these two locator pegs down here. You're gonna use those pegs to install. And you make sure that that seal just like that. Okay, cool. All right, so once you place the timing cover on, it's gonna kind of rest there because it's got these locating pegs to keep it in place. You're gonna take just a little bit of engine oil that we have up here on the end of these bolts, and you're gonna go ahead and install them. They torque down to 20 foot-pounds, all right? You want to put a little engine oil on them so that they don't go into the block dry and break from stress. Boom. So we got these 4 bolts here, 20 foot-pounds, okay? The reason why we're not doing these ones up here, obviously, is because this is for the water pump. So we're gonna have to do the same coating with the high-tech gasket sealant for the water pump gasket, and then install that and install the water pump. All right, so here we have it. Got a brand spanking new water pump, and it's only $30. So I mean, come on, guys. I mean, if you're trying to save a buck on every aspect of the motor, sometimes you may come up short. We're gonna go ahead and coat the gasket. Okay, so now we've coated the gasket with the sealant as well on the outside. So we're gonna use some of this here Permatex thread sealant, and this is for the bolts that are going into through the water pump. Just because you never know, even if it's the slightest little leak of water, water travels all through this area here, so it gets into the threads and then it makes the bolts rust. Just take a little bit of thread sealant on there. This one goes through here, goes through the top bolt here. Now you can take your time with all the other ones. And these also too go 20 foot-pounds. All right, so now that we have all the bolts in with our sealant, now we can just go ahead and torque them down to spec. That puts us in a position now to install the oil pan. Thank God, because I was tired of covering it with a bag all the time on the bottom, because it's so much more difficult with the oil pump pickup. So let's spin this engine around and start working on the oil pan. All right, so now we're getting ready to install the oil pan, finally. First things first, like I always do, you wanna make sure that there's no oil on any of these surfaces. We're using a one-piece gasket right here. Why are we using a one-piece gasket? Well, it's a lot easier than trying to put together those little corners and all that other kind of stuff and having to put silicone in every little corner and whatnot. Even though we're still gonna put a little dab in every corner on this anyways. So the four corners of which you're gonna put silicone to stop it from leaking. It's so prone. It's right there in that little cut. Same thing on this side right here. And the same thing on the back. You have it right there in that little cut and then right there in that little area, okay? So we're not going to use high-tech gasket sealant on the oil pan because we're not using a paper gasket here, we're using rubber. So with that being said, let's go on ahead and get it going. Now the silicone I'm using is the Ultra Gray silicone. The reason why I'm using this is because it's really good at a timed, let's just say that you can take your time with the silicone. You can torque it down up to like an hour after you installed it. Takes a lot longer, so since this motor isn't going anywhere soon, we can take our time with torquing it down. All right, so now that we have the silicone where we want it, we can go ahead and place our rubber gasket. All right, so now that we've got the rubber gasket in place, we're gonna once again put small dabs of silicone in these little corners because that's where they love to leak. Now we'll take the oil pan. Now, first thing you want to do is get this oil pump pickup inside the pan first. This was a, homemade custom pan. Somebody made this out of an original pan, so we kind of gotta. Drop it in place here. So we got some nuts now because they're studs. Forgot about that. So there you have it. The pan is on. So we're gonna drive the nuts down. It's 15 foot-pounds, and yeah, we'll lock it down. All right, so there you have it. We went ahead and got the water pump on today. We got the oil pan on today. I did, on my own time, I put in the head studs. Like I said, it's just, a matter of taking your time, doing things right, doing it the right way the first time. So I used some of the products from my sponsor that helped make the job a whole lot easier and more reliable. We out here Junkyard Doggin.